We are live. Let's get into it, man. Canelo Alvarez is a boxing superstar. Terrence Crawford is a star. Let me explain. And this is still, the conversation I had on H Money channel when he was trying to tell me that Cambosos is a star and Tank Davis is a star. So I'm gonna break down, in my opinion, what makes a superstar first, and what makes a star. Canelo is a superstar for the simple fact is he has the bodies on his resume. He also was in the second biggest pay-per-view in pay-per-view history with over 2 million buys versus Floyd Mayweather, right? So him fighting Floyd Mayweather, when he got in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, that made him a star after that fight, right? Canelo Alvarez was on the verge of being a superstar, and um, he was able to defeat Gennady Golovkin, right? He had a draw with Gennady Golovkin. These are the bodies that he has on his resume. Miguel Cotto, he beat Miguel Cotto, who himself is solidified. We know Golovkin is solidified. He beat Laura. Laura is a solidified fighter. He beat Austin Trout when him and Austin Trout was undefeated. Austin Trout had defeated Miguel Cotto prior. He beat Shane Mosley, right? Um, he beat guys like Amir Khan, Liam Smith, Chavez Jr. That's nothing to write home about. He beat Rocky Fielding, picked up a title there. He beat Danny Jacobs. He beat Callum Smith, who was a really good fighter at 168. Beat him for his title. He beat Billy Joe Saunders for his title, and he beat Caleb Plant for his title, and he became undisputed at 168. The man is a superstar. You know what I'm saying? Um, because he was able to merge appeal versus the public and the resume. That to me is a superstar. Terrence Crawford is a star. He's not the only star, but he's a star. He was able to have multiple title defenses. He was able to become undisputed at 140, right? He came into the welterweight division, and he sells out. He sells pretty good in Nebraska, in his hometown. He sells pretty good, in the other venues he fight in. He was also able to come to the welterweight division, beat Joe Horn, who beat Pacquiao. We know Pacquiao is solidified. He beat Joe Horn by knockout. He was able to, get the WBO welterweight championship. They trinket. I don't call these guys champions unless they become undisputed. So Terrence Crawford was once a champion. He was a champion before, just like Canelo. They both have been champions. Prior to that, they were just title holders. Because that's how I distinguish champions from title holders. Unless you have all the belts, I don't call you a champion. And he was able to come to the welterweight division. He beat Jose Benavidez Jr., who's undefeated. He stopped Amir Khan, stopped Kovalevskis. Kovalevskis is a good contender. He stopped Kell Brook, and he stopped Sean Porter. He stopped everybody at welterweight. The man is a star. He's not a superstar because he doesn't have the appeal that Canelo has as far as being on a pay-per-view, you know what I'm saying, and selling out, millions of pay-per-views. But he is a star nonetheless. Now, H Money, he was all up in arms. Hold on, y'all. Let me get this. Yeah, so let me pick off where I left off. Yeah, so having a discussion with H Money, he was telling me that Cambosis is a star, right? So he said, no, at first I said Tank Davis, has not fought anyone that I deem that he should have fought to even consider him to be a star. Now he said, well, Tank Davis is selling pay-per-views and Tank Davis is selling 15,000 out of the arena. That's fine. He's selling 15,000 out of the arena. Now with this whole pay-per-view thing, no one is selling pay-per-views. Now, if y'all think 150 buys is great or 200,000 buys is great in a country where we got 368, 370 something million people, okay, do the numbers. Okay, what you going to say? Well, I'm going to take out for, not 368 people going to pay for the pay per view anyway. Okay, even if you take out, let's just say you take out 150 million. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say you take out 150 million people that's not going to buy pay-per-views. You still got like 200 million people to choose from, to pick from. And you can't sell 500, 600, 700, 800,000 pay-per-views. You know what I'm saying? I don't think none of these guys are stars based on no pay-per-view numbers. Like I said, Gervonta Davis have not fought anybody to me to make him a star. He fought some good fighters like Jose Pedraza. He fought good fighters like the Cruz guy, which is in the top 10 of lightweight. You know what I'm saying? H Money, he did point that out. He said he fought a top 10 lightweight. Okay, that's fine. He fought a top 10 lightweight. You know what I'm saying? He knocked out my guy Leo Santa Cruz. He knocked out Leo Santa Cruz. That's great. That's a good win. You know what I'm saying? It was a great performance, but a good win. You know what I'm saying? So where is his 5-star performance? Where's his 5-star fighter? You know what his 5-star fighter, Tank Davis 5-star fighter was? He could have fought Lomachenko 3 or 4 years ago before Tio fought him. He could have fought Lomachenko way before Tio fought him, way before Devin Haney came on the scene, and way before Shakur Stevenson was talked about fighting Lomachenko. We have been talking about Tank Davis fighting Lomachenko for a little while now. Like I said, way before Tio, way before Haney, way before Shakur Stevenson, way before any of these other guys. Lomachenko has been calling out Tank Davis since Tank Davis was like 22, 23, and people was making excuses for Tank Davis, talking about he too young. But he had a title at the time. You know, Mayweather was going around bragging about him being a champion, the youngest champion. Remember that? Remember when Mayweather was running around saying Gervonta Davis is the youngest champion? He was the youngest. He was the youngest belt holder at the time. Okay, my thing is this: once you get a belt, you're no longer a prospect. You're no longer a contender. It's open season for you fighting the best fighters. Let me say it again. Once a fighter achieves one of those trinkets, the WBO, the WBC, the IBF, you know what I'm saying, or the WBA, if once he get one of those titles, he is open season to start expecting him to fight other great fighters in his weight, in and around his weight class. Period. There is no more babying. You know what I'm saying? There is no more babying guys once they get a trinket. You're no longer a contender. That's what being a contender and being a prospect is for. That's when they can baby you. That's when they can say, well, I have to move you the right way, move your career the right way so you can grow. Once you get maneuvered and you win one of those titles, those trinkets, that's it. So I expected him to fight Lomachenko. I expected Gervonta Davis to fight Lomachenko. He was calling them out. And you still, H Money, you still haven't answered the question. Why haven't he taken the fight with Lomachenko? And Lomachenko called him out again after he beat Comey. He called him out again before he beat Comey and after he beat Comey. So why Mayweather hasn't said, okay, let's go shut up Lomachenko? I know why. I know Lomachenko gonna go in there and school that boy. I know, like Mayweather probably know that Gervonta Davis is not gonna beat Lomachenko, but that's not what it's really about. It's really about challenging yourself. If in fact you are as good as people say Tank Davis is, I think Tank Davis got some skills. I think Tank Davis is good. He can't beat Lomachenko right now. That's my assessment of the situation, but that's just my opinion. Everybody has a different opinion. If you say that Tank Davis can beat Lomachenko, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But I just explained to you why he's not a star. Let's go to Kambosos. Kambosos is not a star either. You do not become a star by beating one guy. Tio did not become a star when he beat Lomachenko. You know why? Because he didn't do enough prior to beating Lomachenko to even say that he was a star then. He didn't do enough. He didn't have no 5-star not one 5-star fight on his record, which a Lomachenko type win. He had Kome, he had Nakatani, he had some good wins. You know, difference between good wins and great wins is a difference, man. Greatness is different than good. He had some good wins. So when he beat Lomachenko, he was on his way to being a star. He lost the very next fight to Kambosos. So was Tio ever a star? He lost his very next fight to Kambosos. See, you got guys like a Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was the youngest heavyweight champion of all times, right? That made him a star. He went through that tournament, became the youngest champion of all time. That actually made him a superstar because now he's the youngest champion of all times at heavyweight, and nobody had did that at heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? I know Benitez was the youngest. I believe he was the youngest champion in history at 17. It could have been somebody else other than Benitez. You know, put it in the comments. If it was somebody else younger than Benitez who was a champion, it could have been. But far as I know, Benitez was the youngest champion of all times at 17. But Mike Tyson was the youngest heavyweight champion ever. That made him a superstar. He went on and beat Michael Spinks, and he became undisputed. That made that man a superstar. When he lost to James Buster Douglas, when Mike Tyson lost to James Buster Douglas, he was still a superstar after that loss. You know why? Because he had built up enough equity to hold on to superstardom. He had built enough equity up to become a superstar. I mean, to be a superstar, to hold on to that superstardom. When James Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson, he didn't become a star. He had a chance to become a star and possibly a superstar. Because guess what? He lost his very next fight against who? Evander Holyfield. If he would have beat if James Buster Douglas would have beat Mike Tyson and came around and beat Evander Holyfield, he would have been a superstar. He would have been, Intel would have been a superstar, even if he would have lost his next fight after Holyfield, because he had built up enough equity. You have to build up enough equity. You can't just be a star off of beating one fighter, man. You have to show some consistency of beating really good to great fighters. And Kambosos has not. I like Kambosos. I liked how he carried himself before the TO fight, after the TO fight. He came in, he told TO, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna take those straps up off of you, and that's what he did. He had a great performance, beat TO, undefeated young champion. One belt from being undisputed, and then it's still a dispute if TO was undisputed or whatever you want, whatever the side of the fence you on. TO at least had 3 titles, right? And he had the franchise WBC. So he took all those straps in one fight off of TO. It did not make him a star. What did Kambosos do prior to fighting TO that you can point to and say, yeah, he was a star prior to TO? Nothing. He had some good wins. He had no great wins. He just didn't. And then you're gonna say, well, Kambosos can sell 80,000 in the arena. Did he sell 80,000 prior to has he ever sold 80,000 in Australia? Because if he did, just show me the proof. And hey, look, you show me the proof, I give it to you. Because if Kambosos has not, now you trying to project that Kambosos can sell 80,000, but he has not yet done it. I'm not going to give somebody credit for something that they have not yet achieved. I don't live in that world. Because then we can start giving credit to everybody. And then people do not have to actually go out and do it. You can just say that they can do it. Everybody can say what they can do. Did you do it? That's the only thing that counts. Did Kambosos sell out 80,000 in Australia prior to the TO fight? I'm going to say no. Now, if I'm wrong, show me the proof. So Kambosos is not a star based off of fighting beating and fighting and defeating Teofimo Lopez. Y'all have a low bar for being for a star. Where where do your resume stack up at? Let's go to somebody else. Let's go to somebody like let's go to Oscar. Oscar was a superstar. He was a star coming out the Olympics because you know why? He won gold. Teofimo Lopez didn't win gold. Kambosos didn't win gold. Tank Davis didn't win gold. So they didn't come out the Olympics with gold medals. You know what I'm saying? You a star right then and there because you have went to the highest level of the amateur circuit and you won gold in the Olympics representing your country. That's what Oscar De La Hoya did. He won gold representing his country. So he was a star. Now, Oscar De La Hoya not only was a star, now you can say, well, he was selling pay-per-views. He was selling out arenas. Nobody was selling out arenas like Oscar De La Hoya back then. Oscar De La Hoya was having 5,000 and 10,000 people at the weigh-ins. I believe for the Trinidad fight, it was like what? They said they had like 10 to 15,000 people in there just for the weigh-in, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, out of the Olympics, he was already a star. You know what made him a superstar? He was beating guys like Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., Ike Corte. He was beating people like Gennaro Hernandez, who Mayweather gets a lot of credit for beating Gennaro Hernandez, but Oscar was the first one to beat him. He was beaten. He beat Pernell Whitaker. Say what you want to say about the decision. You know what I'm saying? Back then, when I seen the fight, I thought Pernell Whitaker won. The black and white or those judges, those are the ones that put it on the record, win or loss. And the judges say he won. So he won the fight. Pernell Whitaker, we all know what Pernell Whitaker is made of. We all know that he's solidified. You know what I'm saying? We all know Chavez Sr. was solidified. He beat him twice. Like I said, he beat Ike Corte. You know what I'm saying? He beat people like Hector Camacho. He just had so much meat on the bones before he fought Phoenix Trinidad. When he lost to Phoenix Trinidad, Oscar De La Hoya was still a superstar because he had meat on the bones prior to his defeat to Tito Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? So y'all just have a low bar for a star and a superstar. You have to be a star, first of all, you have to have bodies on your resume or either been undisputed or cleaned out of the division with some bodies on your resume and collected all the belts in this 4-belt era, because this is a 4-belt era. So you have to do what your era requires of you. You know, way back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s, you know, there was only one title to be undisputed. And then later down the line, it was 2, then 3, then 4. Now it's a 4-belt era. So you got to do what your era requires. Tank Davis has not done nothing of that sort to be a star. Why? Because he's been on pay-per-view a couple times. And in the last pay-per-view, they hiding the numbers. They're not even coming out with the numbers. We still haven't got the numbers yet. Because if you did, and how Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe like to boast, if he did really good on that pay-per-view, them numbers would have been out by now, y'all. Those numbers would have been out. The numbers would have been out, plain and simple. The numbers have not yet been produced. So I don't just throw around star and superstars to fighters. You have to earn it. See, that's the problem. Y'all are setting the bar so low that these guys do not have anything to achieve, to climb for. They just stepping over. They just using their legs and just stepping over the bar that y'all setting, this low bar. H Money, you want to say, hey, I've been watching boxing since I was in Pampers. That's fine. A baby or whatever you said. I've been watching boxing since I was a baby. First boxing match I seen with my eyes. I didn't see with an educated eye. Didn't really know how to score a boxing match and all that. I didn't know what a jab was, a hook was, or nothing like that. I just know people was getting hit in the face. I had to be about what? When was the let me see. When was the Sugar Ray Leonard Hagler fight? What year was that? Was that let me see. because I can just look it up. Forget about the year, what year it was. Let me see, because that's the first fight that I seen when my uncles was over, looking at it. My uncles and my father was looking at the fight, and they were arguing about who they think will win. Let me see. Marvin Hagler, 87. So in 87, I was born in 76. In 87, I was like, what, 11? No. Yeah. Because 76, 86 is 10, 11. I was 11 years old. So I wasn't even a baby. I was 11. So I remember that fight. I remember seeing the posters at the liquor stores, because I used to go to the liquor store with my uncles. I used to see the posters with like the neighborhood corner stores. They had the poster with Sugar Ray Leonard and Hagler on the posters. So I remember those posters. So I watched that fight, and I remember that fight. I remember the Tyson fight. You know what I'm saying? I remember watching Sugar Ray Leonard get beat up by a terrible Terry Norris. So I've been watching boxing for a long time too, and I know when I see a star and when I see a superstar. I don't know how old H Money is. I don't know how old you are. Hagler Leonard was huge. Yeah, Hagler and Leonard was huge. Yeah, but I'm just 913. I'm just explaining what I see in a superstar fighter and a star fighter, and everybody throwing around this star fighter label on a lot of these fighters that haven't even achieved anything. They have not even achieved anything significant. Like Tank Davis, they want to say he's a star. He's not a star. We know he's not a superstar. He's not a star either. I'm looking at his resume. I don't see star. I just don't see it. It's not like he came out the Olympics with a gold medal. It's not like he went to the Olympics and won a gold medal. He didn't do that. He never clinked out a division. He never was undisputed. He doesn't have a 5-star win on his resume. The one guy that wanted to fight him, Lomachenko, 3 or 4 years ago, I can pull up the tape of Lomachenko calling out Tank Davis 3 and 4 years ago, and Tank Davis did not fight him. Period. I can pull up the tape with Mayweather saying that they might put him in there with Lomachenko, and him and Mayweather fell out over that. Yeah, man, I know this type of stuff. I've been around this YouTube boxing community for a while, since 2012, 2011, when I first made my first video. But before then, I was listening in to people channels like Boxing Beats and Rhymes and people like that. Dante's Boxing Nation. I was listening to 78. I was listening to a lot of people boxing channels like a couple years, 2 or 3 years, even before I made my own video. So I been around and I heard a lot of this stuff. A lot of people are just not, a lot of these new boxing fans just not getting into boxing, and they don't know what happened 3 and 4 years ago. But I know that Tank Davis turned down the fade. He didn't answer the call. He didn't answer the call out. He just didn't answer the call out, and Lomachenko called him out again. Neither one of them got a scheduled fight that I know of. So why Tank Davis ain't telling Mayweather, hey, I want to fight Lomachenko. I want to shut this guy up. He's just not. You want to be a star or a superstar, you got to put in the work. You can't just walk around and say, I got a lot of Twitter and a lot of Instagram followers. So what is your resume looking like? Like I said, Tank Davis got some good wins with the Jose Prajadja. That's a good win. You know what I'm saying? Leo Santa Cruz, that's a good win. And the guy that he fought, Cruz, which H Money pointed out that Cruz was a top 10 heavyweight. I went to go look it up. Cruz is a top 10, not top 10 heavyweight. Cruz is a top 10 lightweight. I went to go look it up. He is. Went to go look it up. He is. So that's a good win. What are great wins? Where are the great wins? And then you want to point to other people. Tank Davis is supposed to be a star. So he shouldn't be compared to guys that are not stars. He shouldn't be compared to Shakur Stevenson. He shouldn't be compared to Devin Haney. Tio got a better resume than him. Tio got a 5-star fighter that he defeated on his resume in Lomachenko. Oh, you want to say what makes Lomachenko a 5-star fighter? He beat guys like Gary Russell. He beat guys like Rigondeaux. He beat guys like Axeman Murderer, the Axeman. He beat Jorge Linares when Jorge Linares was like on a Um, I believe he beat Jose Linares when Jose Linares was like on a 15 fight win streak. When Linares had rebuilt up his career. So, and now he beat Richard Comey as a good win. Nakatani, a good win. You know, we all know he lost to Teofimo Lopez. He beat Lou Campbell. That's a good win. See, Lou Campbell, Richard Comey, and Nakatani is actually, in my book, better than Jose Pedraza, Leo, and Cruz. And y'all trying to make Tank Davis a star off of those 3 wins. And Lomachenko got 3 wins that are not, considered 5-star wins. And those opponents are better than Tank Davis opponents. And I see Lomachenko as being a star. See, Lomachenko is not a superstar because he doesn't have the public appeal as far as he I don't think Lomachenko ever been on pay-per-view. And Lomachenko has not sold a lot of pay-per-views like Canelo. Canelo probably got, with all his pay-per-views combined, Canelo probably got about, 3 million, probably more. You know what I'm saying? So Lomachenko is not a superstar, but he's a star. And if Lomachenko was a star, Tank Davis cannot be a star. Tank Davis' resume does not even come close to Lomachenko's resume. Did I leave out? Oh yeah. Did I say he beat Rigondeaux when Rigondeaux was undefeated? Did I? Yeah, I think I said that. He beat Nicholas Walters. That's the Axeman. He beat him when he was undefeated. I mean, come on, man. The man beat Gary Russell when Gary Russell was undefeated. That's what makes you a star. What makes you a superstar is selling out those pay-per-views. You can get on they can put you on pay-per-view and you can sell out a lot of pay-per-views. That's what makes you a superstar. But nevertheless, Canelo was a star. You know what I'm saying? When he got in the ring with Mayweather, he became a star because those eyes are going to be on you when you fight Floyd Mayweather. And you have to couple that with the stuff that you did prior and the stuff that you did after the Mayweather fight. And what Canelo did prior and what he did after made him a superstar. So if Canelo loses his next fight, Canelo is still going to be a superstar because he built up so much collateral and he built up so many bodies and so many good to great wins on his resume that he still can be a superstar even if he loses his next fight. For real. 913 Boxer, if these promotional companies and matchmakers keep screwing around, we're going to lose a lot of these fighters like Joshua. Yeah, a lot of these fights. Yeah, you're right. Joshua and Wilder. That fight, you know why? Politics. You know, they both was listening to each one was listening to each one fan base. You know what I'm saying? And screwed it up. You got to understand, in boxing, there is no tomorrow. Let me say that again. In boxing, there is no tomorrow. You can't, in a combat sport especially, it's not like basketball, right? Or tennis or something like that. In boxing, you can't project that somebody going to be great in the future. The fight, who he fight and how he come out of those fights is going to dictate how he's going to be in the future. Like when people say Gerard Enos and Ortiz are going to be the future of boxing for the next 10 years. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? I remember back in the day, people were saying Major Taylor was about to be a superstar. He fought Chavez Sr. and what? Never was the same after that fight. He took so much punishment in that fight. Major Taylor was never the same. Never the same in that fight after he lost that fight. Well, after he, fought that fight. He fought a really good fight, but he took so much punishment. Chavez Sr. practically beat his career up out of him. You know what I mean? Fernando Vargas. I remember Fernando Vargas. You know what I'm saying? Young, beating everybody, beat Rinky Wright when he was like, I believe Fernando Vargas was like 22 at the time, 23 maybe. And he beat Rinky Wright. And then he fought Tito Trinidad, some fights down the line, fought Tito Trinidad, and really took a lot of punishment in that Tito Trinidad fight. That was a brutal fight. I believe he got knocked down like 3 times. It was brutal. Now he managed to win some fights after that. Then he ended up fighting De La Hoya. Brutal fight, another brutal knockout loss. He was never the same. So boxing is not like it's a contact sport, just like MMA. You can't say who's gonna be great 10 years from now. It's too many factors that can happen within a fight. Look at Earl Spence, detached retina. That can happen to any young fighter. And usually the detached retina doesn't happen in the fight. It happens through sparring, because sparring is where you take most of your punishment, because you actually spar way more rounds than you actually fight in your career, of rounds that you actually fight in your career. Let me say that again. You actually spar way more rounds. It's like 10-1. You spar. It's some guys like James Toney that they used to spar every day. 10 rounds, 12 rounds, 13 rounds, 14 rounds. You know what I'm saying? And you may have like what, 30, 40 fights. And some of those fights are 4 rounds, 6 rounds, 8 rounds before you build yourself up to championship rounds, like 12 rounds. So you out of those 30 or 40 fights, you may only have about like 10, 12 round fights. At the most, probably like 10 or 12 or something like that. You have already sparred 10-1 already. So that's where you get a lot of your damage at, and it's through sparring. That's where a lot of guys get a lot of damage, through sparring. So, back to it, man. Kambosos is not a star. He has not yet sold 80,000 in Australia yet. Like I said, if Kambosos sold 80,000 in Australia already, just let me know and say, yeah, look, here go the proof. He already sold 80,000 in Australia. If he has not done that yet, then he's not a star. And he need more bodies on his resume. He need to go out there and beat Devin Haney to tie up that loose end to be undisputed. That can help his star claim. He can go out there and beat a Lomachenko. Let's just say he beat Lomachenko and then he beat Devin Haney. He's definitely a star, because he beat Lomachenko, who's a star, and that'd be a 5-star win on his record. He had already beat Teofimo Lopez. I looked at that as a 4-star win, and then he beat Devin Haney. The reason that makes that a 4-star win or close to a 5-star win is because he will win undisputed on that night if you defeat Devin Haney. He defeat Devin Haney and he beat Lomachenko. You can have an argument. Not an argument. He would definitely be a star. And if he sell out 80,000 versus Lomachenko and versus Haney, then you could say he's a superstar in his country, because the numbers will be there. Definitely will be there. He's selling out 80,000. So the man is a superstar. It's just what it is. I don't know. Oh, another guy who I think is a superstar, Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua got the bodies on his resume, and he sold out his stadium. What's that? Wembley Stadium, which had 60, 70,000. So he's a superstar in his country. Anthony Joshua was a superstar in his country. He's a star probably anywhere else, but in his country, he's a superstar. George Kambosos can't claim to be a star in his country until he actually sell out that arena. When he sell out that arena, okay, you can make a claim that he's a star. But I'm gonna get out of here, man. Peace. Thanks for coming through, 913 Boxer.